Okay, so in the last tutorial we discussed about the directive tags, which are used to give the extra information to the container and tell us the directions needed for a particular page. The first directive tag which we discussed was a page directive, and along with that we see the attributes of that page directive. One was import, and another one we are discussing about is the content type. By default we get the content in the form of text or HTML, but definitely we can change it to Excel, XML, PDF, or whatever we want by just changing this value of content type attribute. And the one which you are checking is the MS Excel. Now this will present me the data which is written inside welcome.jsp in the Excel file, and we see that also. So let's just run it and try to open that Excel. You can write any name along with the password. When you click on submit, now it's showing me that I just want to open or save this Excel. So let me just save it to the downloads, open folder. Let's open this Excel. So whatever data we are getting, okay, so this is just the issue with some licensing, that okay, we'll verify it later. See, here we get the data, welcome Ritika, and then we are displaying the data object, so we get it. Though formatting is not done in this because we haven't formatted the data in the welcome.jsp, the HTML or exact CSS is not being applied, the formatting or it's not coming in the new line, but that content we are getting is now in the Excel format. So this is how we can change the content type. Similarly, we can get an XML file, we can get a PDF file, or whatever we want. So this was the second directive, the first directive type, second attribute, that is content type. Now the next attribute which we have is the session. By default, the JSP allows the session object to be used, but if we want to restrict the usage of session object, then we need to set this session attribute to false. You must be knowing what session attribute is. Like, we track the session, we have a session ID associated with it when we are doing the session tracking mechanism. So the same, it's just a place where the username and the password of a particular user is being stored, and with the help of which we can track the session. So that is what the session object is. So by default the session object is true, but if you want to restrict it, then we need to do the session as false, and you cannot use the session tracking mechanism. So for that we just need to have the page directive only, and along with the content type you can just use session equal to, see, it's showing me a value. By default it's true. Now I cannot use the session tracking mechanism or the session object, and if I try to use it, it will show me a compilation error, which we can just show also. Like, if in this, like, we're using the request objects, so say I am it's showing me a compilation error because I have set it to false. But let's see, if we set it to true, yeah, you just need to have the, it's not like that, it's session dot, I guess, let me just use the exact one, dot get attribute. You can pass any, no, I'm not getting an error. But if I set this, but if I set the session object and I don't want the session tracking mechanism to be called, it will show me a compilation error on this session object itself. So with the help of page directive, we can stop the session tracking also. So this is the next attribute. Okay, so till now we have just discussed the page directive, and along with that we have discussed import, we have discussed content type, we have discussed the session. Next we'll discuss the exceptional handling in Java. Not in Java, in JSP. It's done in the same way it's done in the Java, just using try and catch. You just need to keep in mind the analogy I'll be using over here. Okay, so after this session, let's just uncomment it because we are not going to use it now. Okay, now suppose if I'm doing something like suppose I'm dividing a number by 0, definitely it's an arithmetic exception. So what it will show to user is the exception page, but I don't want that because obviously the user won't understand the exception. I want some user-friendly page to be shown, user-friendly message to be shown. So I need to catch that exception and show a user-friendly message. Let me just do it over here. Let's keep it at 0. Instead of plus, I'll just do this. And even if I want to print it, let me just yeah, C cannot be auto variable because I haven't declared it over here, or I can declare it over here if it allows me. No, you need to have it inside that only, it will not allow you. Fine. Okay, so we are discussing about the exception. Let's not display it as of now. What happened to this? I didn't change anything. Okay, let's just write it again. Date d equal to, you just need to have a new object only. Okay, so let's run this application now. I have just used this number being divided by 0, which is definitely a arithmetic exception. Let me run on server. Yes. Just a second, I'll just change the content type also. I'll just change it to instead of Excel because it's going to be opened again and again. So I'll just change it to okay, fine. So I'm getting this as it is, the value I was displaying. But let's do something inside the scripted tag. Let me do it. Let's have a variable, say int z equal to 2, and then I'll have out dot println z divided by 0, and definitely we'll need to have a semicolon. Now it has shown me an exception because I was not displaying that value, so it was okay. It says that exception occurred processing the JSP page. If we open this entire welcome.jsp at line number 16, because this is the arithmetic exception, that is by divide by 0, the root cause is this. So in such scenarios we don't want the user to see this kind of page, rather we want to create some dummy page that has a user friendly message. And we can say that system is down, you can try again later, or so on. So that needs to be done in the case of exceptional handling or when some exception occurs. So what I'll do is I'll just write percentage at the rate page where we've written session. So now I'll say error page say I have created some any page you can create, error dot JSP. Now I'll just I can just write anything inside it. Let me just write system is down, try later. So it's showing me the error page that system is down, try later, and we are not getting some any exception page. So this is how the exceptional handling is done in JSP. This is now what is acting like my try. Let's leave it, we are not printing it over here, so it was not showing, but here we are just printing this. So here we get an exception and the JSP container says, oh, I have an error page that is error.jsp. so whenever any error comes for this try, I need to go to the error.jsp page and whatever content is written, I'm getting it. You can have multiple catch blocks, definitely. It's not like that you just have to have one only. Here this is my try and this is error pages are my catch blocks only. So we can have a multiple catch blocks, and then depending upon the exception only it will go to that particular catch block. Clear? So this is the name of the page you want to navigate to. So 10 JSP pages suppose you have, and whenever error occur in these pages, then always we want to navigate to the error page.jsp. So we just use this attribute. Now say if you want to display the exception message also to the user, then you need to have access of the exception object, and for that in my error page we can use an attribute known as is error page. So along with this I have an attribute is error page equal to true. Now this will give me an access to the exception object, and definitely I can print that. So let me just print it. I want the exception dot get message. Fine. So with the help of is error page equal to true attribute, I can have an access to the exception object and I can display the data to the user. If I click on submit, oh, okay, there's some issue with the server, it's not working fine. Maybe the server is not working, but definitely you can display the message. So if you want to print it, you can write it just like this. Just a second, so let's omit this. Oh, there's some issue with the server only, it's not working. Let's check this. So this was the exception only which you were getting earlier. Let's clear it. There's no issue with the code, only in the backend server is not working fine. So let's restart the server so that we can get that proper. It started. Now let's see if it's working fine on this port first. No, the website is only under maintenance. There's some issue with the server that is not working fine, but I guess you're clear with how we need to. We can fix it in the next tutorial, and how we need to show the exception object. So we can just simply write exception.getMessage over here, out.println, and here we'll have access to exception. Since you're getting all this, get message. Let's see if it is, or we need to just again install the Tomcat. No, the website is only under maintenance. We need to have it again. Okay, that's fine. So the exception object access, you get it, and the same message you'll be displaying it on the screen. So we'll discuss it in the next tutorial. So this is just all about the first directive, that is a page directive. We'll discuss one more directive that is known as include directive.